Thanks, Eloise. So delighted to have with me here today, Allison Buckley, who is our Operations Director. Ali, as she's affectionately known, has a great grounding in this industry. I think about 20 years working in mortgages and operations. So been through many crises, lots of great experience, the good times, the bad times. I think last year was really interesting because it was a really bad time, but actually quite a good time for the markets. That's probably fairly unusual to actually have a kind of economy that's crashing and all this kind of COVID crisis, but at the same time a market that's booming and lots of business coming in. So really, really unusual. So how's COVID-19 been for you in operations, Ali?
Thanks, Craig. Yeah, absolutely unbelievable experience, to be fair. As we all know, when it hit in March 2020, I think for me, looking after operations more broadly, it did give us the opportunity to actually cross-train and work with teams across both areas. So we had servicing supporting the lending teams and lending teams supporting servicing. So I think since then, it's put us in a really strong position. I think as an organisation as well, we've done a really good job to support our teams. So we've deployed them with IT kit and laptops, really looked at the tech equipment. And then from an office perspective, we've refurbished the office, we've created collaboration space. We've really tried to support our employees, and we're hoping that, you know, with a hybrid working from home, working in the office solution, that will support our employees even more and build, you know, that loyalty from them. I think from a recruitment perspective, we've been able to go nationwide, recruit across the whole of the UK and really bring some key talent in. And we've really been able to learn from that key talent and understand their best practices from the lenses that they've come from.
No, that's brilliant. Thanks, Ali. And yeah, I mean, it's been a really weird time, but I think there has been some real positives, and being able to recruit nationally, whereas previously we were relatively restricted to being within an hour's drive of the office, is a real benefit. And also getting that different thoughts from people around the country. I mean, I always laugh because, you know, you speak to the underwriters we used to have in the business who are all in the Thames Valley where we're based, and, you know, they look at some of the 50, 60 grand mortgages coming in from up north, and they think it's a bit strange because of course everything down there is about 300,000 or 400,000. So I think good to get some local expertise as well.
Yeah, and if you look at what we've done in regards to recruitment, we have been on a massive recruitment drive, especially across the originations teams. I'd say that last year we operated with an average of, say, 20 underwriters, and now we're getting closer to 40. So we really have invested in that recruitment, and now it's starting to pay off because we've got the people in place to really ensure that we keep our service levels and support our brokers and customers as we go through those busy times.
That's brilliant, thank you. So, I mean, that's clear kind of investment from the business in our growth in people. Another key thing we did last year, which again was another big investment in the future of the business and hopefully service levels for brokers, we launched our new broker platform. So we moved off DPR onto our new kind of bespoke platform. How's that been for you from a kind of underwriting perspective, and how do you think it's been from a broker perspective?
Yeah, so Craig, as you know, we launched that new platform back in October last year. I think for me, because as a business, we also invested in new skills and new roles from, for example, digital. You know, we looked at agile methodology from a change perspective. We invested in key talent who were used to design thinking. And because of that, I mean, that obviously previously to me was all jargon, but actually what it means is rather than projects and change taking an age, we do things a lot more quickly now. So for example, since we put the new platform in, we've kept those key individuals with that platform, with that process and service. And we've invested heavily in observations and process reviews. So some of the brokers will know we've gone out and actually even remotely linked into the system and been able to see what they do and how they process an application. And in doing that, we've been able to pick up their frustrations, their pain points, and then we've been able to go away and deploy those changes to alleviate those frustrations and pain points. We've also done that from an employee perspective as well. So there's been a lot of time invested in sitting with the underwriters to see what they do and actually look at what is wasted effort to try and improve the process and improve the broker and customer journey. I think since we've gone live, we've put more than 300 changes into that portal to try and improve, obviously, the broker and customer and user experience, which is really, really important. For me, that should never stop, and it hasn't. You know, we need to constantly evolve and improve and understand our customers and our brokers. It's key, really, that we continue to listen and understand and observe, really, so that we can highlight any future, you know, technology or system and process changes that we need to make to support our brokers and our customers.
No, that's brilliant. Thanks, Ali. And I think we've had some really good support from brokers. We've been really well supported with. We've had some brokers come into we have our weekly broker journey sessions where we look at everything end to end for a broker. And we've had some great support from brokers to come in and actually talk to us about, well, when I go through the process, I didn't really understand what this meant, and I had this message and I wasn't sure what to do with this, and what does this bit mean on the system. And like you say, it's been great. In real time, we've had IT people in that meeting. We've got a very flexible system now, and like you say, made hundreds of changes based on broker feedback, which we'll continue to do. So I think that's been brilliant, and we've kind of worked in harmony with brokers to continually improve.
Yeah, I think what's really good is as you say, Craig, that customer engagement forum that we created. You know, within that forum, we not only take feedback from the brokers, we take feedback from the sales team, we look at Trustpilot reviews, we look at complaints, and we feed in the observations as well and say, well, look, you know, come on, guys, there's clearly a problem here. What is it that we can do to change and improve, you know, what is going wrong, or how to improve that overall customer broker experience. And that happens every single month and is ongoing, and that's been a success, really, since we put the new platform in.
Fantastic. So we've talked about kind of people changes and investing in people. We've talked about how we've kind of invested in the system. Kind of a year on from COVID, although kind of who knows when it'll end. How's underwriting changes? Did you have to make any changes to underwriting at the start? Have you had to make any different changes recently? How do you kind of approach the new world from an underwriting perspective?
Yeah, so as we know, when COVID hit, we did have to make some policy changes. We had to put more checks in, really to understand our customers, understand their employment position, their affordability position, which I suppose for us and the underwriting team and the brokers does cause a bit more pain, does add a bit more time. But we've taken a step back now and said, look, we are coming out the other side now, you know, from a policy, from a documentation perspective. What is it that we've put in that we think now isn't really adding value, or what do we need to change? So you'll have seen recently we've removed the need for 3 months payments evidence, as in savings, for most of our customers now, with further changes to follow. That's a big win for our brokers and customers, and a big win actually for our underwriters. For me, you know, freeing up the time to spend the time on the complex cases that you really do need to understand is critical, and where we need to be spending our efforts. What we don't want to be doing is wasting our time asking for documents that don't really add any value to that case or that applicant. So we're constantly looking at what the requests are and what's causing pain and what we can do to change that. We've just also put in, for example, acceptance of digital signatures for the application declaration. You know, it made no sense that we were asking for a wet signature when everyone's moving towards digital, and that includes us, and actually adds no value. More recently, we've obviously gone live with AVMs, granted over a small population to start with. That's really to make sure that we've got the process right, and we've got the criteria right, and hopefully over time that will expand over more cases to help ourselves and to help brokers improve those processing times. And we're currently looking at a deep dive on deposits and gifted deposits, because we've seen from the data that we seem to be generating a lot of noise and a lot of questions, and we're starting to ask ourselves, the questions that we ask, are we over engineering it? Is it really adding value? So we're picking on different themes and topics and conducting those deep dives to see from a policy and a risk perspective what we can change. As you know anyway, we're very, very focused on service, making sure that we keep within those service levels, and constantly reviewing obviously what feedback we're getting. But absolutely, Craig, you know, going forward, we want to change and evolve and make sure we review what we ask for and ask for less if we can.
Which is fantastic, and I'm sure brokers will be delighted with that. And one thing I know that we've changed in the last couple of days is we've been able to give some real kind of clarity to self-employed people who have obviously had a very difficult year with lots of new things we've had to deal with, like furlough schemes and government grants and bounce back loans, none of things we've kind of had to deal with in the past. How's our kind of process changed towards that now?
Yeah, so I suppose for me, the next 12 months, Craig, are really exciting times for both Kensington and our customers. You know, we are manual human underwriters, and you know, our proposition is that we want to understand the customer, their circumstance, and from a process perspective, we want to remove all the waste around the outside and really spend our time and effort on the core, you know, understanding the case and assessing the deal. And with that, we have made some recent criteria changes and some product changes as well. So, for example, we are now accepting, as you know, grants, bounce back loans, assessing furlough, as long as everything still meets within our affordability. You know, previously it had been a flat no, but not anymore. We feel like we've got a very, very strong self-employed COVID product and criteria. That coupled with, as you know, we're very focused on green. We've launched some eco products more recently with some cashback options. And we're really, really proud of our Heroes product, you know, to support our key workers, especially through those difficult times and coming out the other side of COVID. I think I'm really excited about the next 12 months because, you know, as a specialist lender, Kensington, you know, does have that absolutely, you know, specialist offering from a manual human underwriting perspective that I don't believe the high street can compete with. And we'll really be able to help those customers that have been impacted from an income or a change in job perspective to be able to assess them and offer products suited to their needs.
That's fantastic, Ali. I think we'll leave it there. I mean, that's a great place to leave it. We've got more underwriters than we've ever had. We've got a new, shiny, faster system and some really flexible, sensible policies, especially around self-employed, with far more to come and a continued eye on continuous improvement. So, you know, on behalf of all the brokers, thank you for joining us today. Really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
And with that, I'll hand back to Eloise. Thank you very much.